Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Hade, and I'm the manager at Sherwood Branch, Milton Public Library. Here at Sherwood, we have an exciting offering, which is the Tech Hub. And at the Tech Hub, we have a variety of different technologies that are available for public use. And the first that I'd like to focus on in particular today is the sublimation printer and what we can do with sublimation prints. So as I mentioned, we have our Tech Hub. This is what it looks like. It is in the center of our space here at Sherwood Branch. And within the space, you have access to our Bamboo 3D printer, as well as you can use our iMac computers to access the 3D printing free design space, which is called Tinkercad. You can also have access to our Cricut Maker 3 and the Design Lab, Cricut Design Lab on our iMac computers. We also have the Heat Press, which we'll go over today. We have the Mug Press, and we have the Epson Sublimation Printer, which is our primary focus with this video. Patrons are invited to use the Tech Hub machines and software after becoming certified in the use of a particular machine and/or software. This will be completed through program offerings and the issuance of certificates of completion via your library account. So patrons, much like yourself, will become certified and able to use the sublimation printer and subsequently the Cricut Heat Press on your own after completing the Tech Introduction Sublimation Printing Program. And this is just like every other program. You register for it. It is free. And when you're undertaking the program, you'll be asked to agree to the terms of use and follow the instructions as relayed in this video. So how do you choose an image to get started? How do you start this whole process? Well, your image can be a favorite photo, a family photo, a picture of your pet. It could be a drawing that you made, something that you created that you scan and digitize, or even a collage of already digitized images that could be used through a software like Canva. And it could look something like what you see here in this picture. For more information about Canva, a free design application, please refer to our Cricut Mug Press Tech Hub presentation. It's a very similar presentation to what you're watching right now. Patrons are welcome to choose any image or design you so choose for printing, as long as it adheres to our MPL policies. The library's sublimation printer must be used only for lawful purposes. The public will not be permitted to use the library's printer to create material that is prohibited by municipal, provincial, or federal law, unsafe, harmful, dangerous, or poses an immediate threat to the well-being of others, obscene or otherwise inappropriate, in violation of another's intellectual property rights. For example, the printers may not be used to reproduce materials that are subject to copyright, patent, or trademark protection. So MPL staff have the right to approach you if you are violating any of these rights or rules. And we also ask that we have you complete an MPL technology waiver. It looks something like this. And when you go to use the Tech Hub, you'll be checking in at our front desk or our service desk during regular operating hours. We will then provide you with the materials that you need to access our iMac computers, as well as a kit that will help with sublimation. And within that kit, we will make sure beforehand that you have undergone this particular course, so the Tech Introduction Sublimation class. A note under your library card account will be made that you have completed the class, as well as that you have signed this waiver. To use the sublimation printer and create a tote bag, you will be asked to pay a cost of $10, and this is for the whole kit to create a tote bag and to have a sublimation print done. Within the kit, you'll find one sublimation print paper sheet, a keyboard that will be plugged into the iMac computer, and the keyboard is indicated through the cord A in this picture, the mouse, which is indicated through cord B, and an adapter that will be connecting the printer to the iMac, which you can see in the C indication here. You will also be giving one sublimation tote bag, a heat-resistive tape reel, scissors, Cricut Heat Press, ironing board, and instruction sheet, similar to what you're seeing here with these slides, along with access to this video. If you are simply wanting to print a design or image, you're not wanting to purchase the whole kit, you want to take your sublimation print home with you and potentially use an iron, which you can use for sublimation printing. You don't need to use the Cricut Heat Press. Use that in your own home, of course. Then that would be a cost of $1 plus $2 for printer use. So $1 for the sheet, $2 for the use of the printer. If designing at home, please know that an iron can allow for the transfer of the sublimation sublimation paper onto various sublimation materials. This includes clothing and accessories. However, some materials that are not deemed sublimation can in fact absorb the sublimation ink. So you don't always have to go out to Michael's and buy a sublimation, hat, that you can actually sublimate, if that's the correct verb, onto other materials. In fact, polyester-based materials work best, and really variety of different materials work. It's really about experimentation, but we highly recommend that if you want the best results, to just simply sublimate using the materials that are provided within the kit. You can also use sublimation prints to heat transfer ink onto sublimation mugs, which is part of our Cricut Mug Press program. Okay, so once you have the mouse, keyboard, and adapter in place, log into the iMac using the recorded password, which you'll find in a sticky on the right corner of the computer screen. Then open your desired application to download your image to send to print. In this example, we have opened our image in Canva. And once again, for more information about Canva, how to get a free account, and how to navigate Canva, please check out our Mug Press, video. Whatever your image, you can send it to be sublimation printed by using the Tech Hub iMac computer and downloading it from an HTML-based app like Canva, or via email attachment. So you can pull up your email and you can pull up your downloaded photo. That can even be in an easy application like Word, something that you're familiar with, and then you can actually send to print from that attachment. You can insert a USB memory stick and you can pull up your pictures that way. You can design in live time within an app that is HTML based or within the iMac already installed on the iMac. You can open your image in a desktop app like I mentioned, Microsoft Word. Anywhere you can send an image, you can print the image essentially. Okay, so within Canva, this is what you're seeing here. If you're using Canva, you can send an image to print by clicking A, which is the file icon, and B, download. Choose the option to download an 8x11 doc file, as this is the size of the sublimation paper and will make your job easier. Then open your download file and press print. The default printer on the iMacs is always already the sublimation printer, so there shouldn't be any confusion around that. Before confirming the print through the printer settings, ensure that the printer is plugged in. Load the sublimation printer into the tray with the wording facing up. So you're going to see the word make facing you. Turn the machine on by pressing the round button, which is indicated B in this picture. And then ensure that the machine is connected to the iMac using the adapter C, which you see in the second picture. The printer will automatically mirror your image. So once again, you don't have to worry too much about the printer settings. Once you've printed your sublimation paper, cut your design out using wavy lines like you see in this photo. Straight lines will show after pressed. Place your tote over the ironing board. So you take your tote bag and place it over the ironing board. There's a provided ironing board to do this at the Tech Hub. Make sure that before you do any ironing, you're always going to have that board in place. Iron or press your tote bag. So you're going to just make sure that you're heating and ironing all the wrinkles out once your tote bag is on the ironing board. And then after that, you're going to position the cutout of your sublimation print where you see fit. Turn the cutout over so that the writing on the back of the paper is once again facing you, it's showing. Tape the design in place using the heat-resistive tape if you find that that's helpful. And cover using a piece of material or wax paper. This is for the most desired sublimation printing. Make sure that you're putting a piece of fabric over so that you're not only holding the print even more in place, but you're avoiding any bleeding of ink. Iron or press your image. Even heat application is going to allow for the best results. And that's why we recommend using the Cricut Heat Press, because it allows for a very even spread of heat. If using medium to high heat, the print should transfer in 5 to 10 seconds. So you shouldn't have to hold your iron in place for too long. And if we're using the Sublimation Heat Press for Cricut, it's usually about 30 seconds long, but we'll go over that in a little bit. Carefully lift an edge of the cutout to see the transfer status. So you're going to check on your transfer status. And I need not say that if you're using an iron, you're going to want to just make sure you're constantly moving your iron. Don't ever keep the iron straight in place on when you're pressing. It's going to show some of the iron marks on your print. So you're just going to want to carefully make sure your iron is constantly moving about, but also keeping that print in place. When it comes to the Cricut Heat Press, however, you don't have to worry about movement. That's what's so great about it. Then you're going to continue to add heat if necessary, if your print isn't exactly the color that you want. So you'll add heat to make sure that the ink is continuously pressing in to the fabric, and you're going to repeat if necessary. So when it comes to the Cricut mug press, the Cricut sublimation press here, you're going to make sure that you can add as many or layer as many images as you want onto your tote bag. But remember, it's about an 8x11 size radius that you're dealing with. So you're just going to be mindful of your placement of design. And you'll want to make the most of your sublimation printer paper. So if printing an image smaller than 8x11 size, consider adding those multiple layers. Additional sublimation sheets are available, and they're available for purchase with your sublimation kit at an additional $1 per sheet. Okay, so here's the fun part where we get to talk about the Cricut Heat Press. I keep messing up that phrasing. So the first step here is you're going to set the press in the base. There is a dark gray base that it sits in. So you're going to set it in its base, and you're going to plug it in, and you're going to turn on the heat press. And you'll do that using that top left button. Then you're going to click the temperature button, which is indicated with the thermometer image. And then you're going to adjust the temperature using the up and down arrows to the right. Now you're going to adjust the temperature to about 330 Fahrenheit. If you're not sure about what setting you should be using, that's the setting that we recommend, especially if you're doing a tote bag. Now your next step, step 4, you will hear a beep when the press is heated and the Cricut is ready. The Cricut button will also turn green. Step 5, using the ironing board provided, set your fabric in place where you want to be ironing. And then you're going to press the fabric with the Cricut Heat Press for 5 minutes to smooth out wrinkles. Actually, I think this is actually 5 seconds, not 5 minutes, but either way, it's still safe. Just a brief period, because you're going to want to make sure you're ironing out the wrinkles, smoothing out the wrinkles, and just making sure that you have like a warm area to place your sublimation print when you're about to do it. So this step is very important. This is what's going to allow for a very smooth and clear sublimation. Step 6, place your sublimation print paper in place. And once you have it in place, and make sure this is all kind of within a good timing of one another, you're then going to move to step 7, where you're pressing down the heat press again, this time for 30 seconds at a time, and lifting to see how your print is transferring. So make sure that you are checking, and if you need to readjust, you do so. If you need to keep your print in place, once again, you can use the heat resistive tape. So step 8, check to see if your print has transferred as desired. Apply additional heat if required, and try to keep the print in the same spot. Consider using heat resistive tape, as I mentioned. This helps, but again, another good application is if you put a piece of material over top. That too will help keep the print in place. Now, step 9, this is really important. Feel free to repeat this process as required, but every time you use the heat press, please make sure you're mindful of where the cords are. Avoid placing them down, the press down on the cords, and always rest the press in its base or on the ironing board. Never leave the press on the table surface. And we'll go over this quite a bit when we have our course together. Thank you and happy printing, everyone. As mentioned, the course will go over many of these steps in great detail. We also have some friendly staff that can help answer your questions, and you're welcome to watch this video as required. Please come and join us. The Tech Hub is going to be a very fun and exciting time for us all. Bye for now, everyone.